My name is Samantha, and at age 35, I thought I had crafted the life I desired. But as I sat in my favorite cafe, surrounded by the comforting scent of roasted coffee and freshly baked pastries, all of that changed in an instant. A single text turned my world inside out. It was a Thursday when I noticed my phone buzz on the table, the screen lighting up with a name I had never expected to see: Jennifer. My heart raced, half expecting a warm, friendly message from my old college buddy who had recently moved back to town. Instead, the message sent a jolt of icy dread through me. "Sophia's pregnant. You should know." I stared at the text for what felt like hours, but time was moving quickly while I was trapped in that moment. Sophia was my sister, the golden child who had basked in the glow of affection and praise while I lived forever in her shadow. And Jennifer, she was my husband Alex's coworker, and unbeknownst to me, his lover. My mind couldn't grasp the implications. The betrayal was sharp and sudden, like a paper cut that sent a wave of nausea through my stomach. Jennifer was the last person I thought would be part of my world, let alone my sister. For years, I silently hoped to protect my family from the inevitable fractures in our story. Now, I realized it was beyond repair. At that moment, a weight settled over my shoulders, but the crushing fear morphed quickly into a chilling resolve. They thought they had me cornered. They thought I wouldn't fight back. That was their first mistake. I stood up, my coffee forgotten, and stepped outside, the afternoon air biting at my skin. I went straight to my car, a small and modest sedan, a stark contrast to the luxury vehicles most of my family preferred. I took a moment to breathe, gathering my thoughts, plotting the course of action that would get me the justice I secretly craved. As a child, I was the planner in the family. When Sophia wanted something extravagant, I was the one who figured out how to make it happen. I felt depth and fear through the cracks of my responsibilities, but was never seen as the one needing support. It's a twisted irony that the reliable ones often get overlooked, but my time for vengeance was now, and it wouldn't be silent. When I returned home, Alex was sitting in our living room, flipping through channels, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing just beyond our door. He greeted me with a casual smile, one I had once found comforting but now felt somehow hollow. I walked over to him, the air heavy with unsaid words. "Did you know?" I demanded, my voice steady, laced with a quiet fierceness that startled him. He looked up, feigning innocence. "No, what?" "Jennifer's pregnant," I snapped. "Is she also going to be my sister's baby daddy?" The smugness fell from his face, and in that moment I felt an exhilarating rush of control. "Sam, let's talk about this," he started, but I held up a hand. "Oh, don't even try to justify your actions. I know everything, Alex, I have proof." I reached into my bag and pulled out my phone, ready to expose the tangled web of deceit I'd been quietly unraveling. The truth was always hidden in plain sight. Over the past few months, I had noticed the late nights and the suspicious texts hidden behind Alex's phone. I had hired a private investigator, an old friend from college who understood the importance of discretion. In a matter of weeks, he had uncovered receipts and text exchanges, concrete evidence that exposed Alex's affair and the extent of their betrayal. With steady hands, I showed Alex the messages, the photos, everything the investigator uncovered, everything he thought he had hidden. I watched the color drain from his face, just like I had imagined it would when he realized he was cornered. "You have no idea," he started, but I cut him off. "No, you don't get to talk anymore. You don't get to control this narrative." I took a deep breath, feeling the rush of smoky satisfaction surge within me. "You and Jennifer think you've won, but trust me when I say this, I have been playing a long game, and you're about to see how it ends." The fallout was messy, and I made sure everyone in our lives would know. Friends, family, colleagues, they all gathered for an impromptu meeting I organized at our home, where I presented the evidence. I maintained my calm while watching the shock spread among them. Sophia stood frozen, disbelief etched on her features as I directed the truth like a spotlight on her. Betrayal burned in the air around me, growing denser with each passing moment, and I relished the power it offered and the responsibility I was willing to accept. What I hadn't anticipated was my sister's reaction. Instead of anger or defiance, Sophia broke down, tears streaming down her cheeks, a vessel for her own betrayal mirroring mine. "I didn't know," she spluttered, her voice choked with regret. "I promise I didn't know he was with her first." She became nothing but a terrified girl before me. All parallels of life I had drawn faded when we locked eyes. Love, anger, betrayal. My heart ached as I realized how deeply intertwined our stories had been despite our apparent differences. Beneath the facade of betrayal lay a shared pain, a familial fracture I hadn't acknowledged. In that cloud of bitterness, I saw a flicker of hope while watching Sophia be vulnerable. "Do you think I'm the villain here?" "I'm not. I've always been the glue holding us together," I said softly, my resolve hardening but softened by the gravity of her acknowledgement. For the first time, she saw me not as the responsible sister, but as a person deserving dignity. The bonds we had once taken for granted began to crack and peel, revealing a mess of emotions that had long been buried. Coming clean was a path to heal, to emerge stronger on the other side. I won't let Alex walk away unscathed. I took a deep breath, gathering the newly gained strength I felt trembling from within. We will untangle this together and find who we are beyond the maelstrom of deceit. With Sophia's support, I pressed forward in the aftermath, filed for divorce, started therapy, and even began attending a support group for women dealing with betrayal. The women I met in those meetings quickly became my new family. I began to realize I was not alone in this journey. There were others just like me who were rediscovering their worth after love faded into lies. While the battle with Alex dragged on, I focused more on who I was becoming. I rediscovered passions I had long abandoned, a love for painting and writing that poured out of me like the colors on my palette, a rush of catharsis long denied. What surprised me most was how much strength I found in the quiet aftermath of the ruins. My sister and I grew closer, and the unveiling of our shared stories transformed us both. Bonded through a devastating deceit, we found our way to healing, a sisterhood born from ashes, learning to navigate the world together. Months passed, and the day finally came when the divorce papers were signed. It was a monumental moment, one that felt like the end of a chapter. I realized then that endings aren't always the absence of a story. Sometimes they are rebirths waiting in the wings. As I stood there, looking out at a sunset that felt like a celebration, I felt ready to embrace whatever came next, unfettered by the weight of the past. I had become stronger than I ever knew I could be. Now I paint in the evenings, hues of vibrant colors blending on the canvas as I let my worries dissolve in strokes and splashes. I live freely, as a woman reborn, passionate, driven, ready to embrace life in all its uncertainty. In that moment, I understood the power of my own narrative, the ability to reshape my story, and I smiled knowing I was finally in control of my own fate. So what about you? Have you ever found the strength to reclaim your own story? Let me know in the comments below, and I'd be grateful if you'd give this video a like. Thank you for listening to my journey. We're all a work in progress, but every ending holds the promise of a new beginning.